about 40 people in Orinda who united to oppose the use of the old libraries as shelter for the homeless, with the county of United program 10 years ago. Despite the huge public support, a small group of people banded together threatening to take matters to court, thus making the availability of the library for the winter of December 2004 into 2005 moved. Most of the over 400 people who met at the time supported the program's use of the old library, a use that was prevailed by a striding minority. At least the public outcry in its handling of the matter of the second grader shows some improvement in the community spirit. My hope is that all of this and the equipment behind was most effective. It was sad to learn that not only did this little girl and her mother have to worry about her school life being offended, they were also dealing with the loss of a beloved grandmother and mother at the same time.
And I apologize on some of the pronunciations of these names. Ayala Delgisham.
Dear audience, board and community members, my name is Ayala Delgisham, and as of 2002, my residency address is 136 Lisbon School in Orinda. I'm wearing a pink sweater as a clear single color Mr. Document. You failed me and my community. And this pink color represents a pink slip for you and for you to leave your office. My 3 kids graduated from Sleepy Hollow in Owens. 2 of my kids graduated from Monty, and my youngest is still there. I'm sure that there are many parents in the community that are hurt and disappointed from the recent incident as known as the Vivian case. But they are afraid to come and voice their opinion. If you question why, they are afraid that someone, sometimes, somehow, will take revenge of them. I'm telling you, as I've been there. For at least 12 years, I heard the word transparency in the school district more than any other word. Every single morning that ran for the school board used the same word, transparency, before election, but sadly, no more after that. As English is my 3rd language, I checked the definition of transparency as used in science, engineering, business, no other, but humanity and social purpose. And it applies as an openness, communication, and accountability, and meaning full accountability. Transparency is operating in such a way that it's easy for others to see what actions are performed. It has been defined as simply the precise quality of intentionally shared information from the sender. I strongly suggest all of you to show us all that your words are before the elections are still valid after the elections and as much as you are on the board. As we are all like to heal as a community from the unacceptable and unforgettable damages that were created to this community, to our children and families. Vivian case represents only one issue. There were many other different cases and different wrong, as parents were hopeless for different reasons and just moved on. Lucky you all. Member of the board, do not face them as you are facing the entire. I'm here, my time is over, and for just a second, I will send to you all an email directly to each and all of you, including Mr. Chukunet, and I'll put basically the change of the petition as well, so my word's going to be completely heard. But really, shame on all of you for giving such an endorsement for unbelievable action.
Maria Nunez, for Miriam George.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Miriam Storch. I'm going to be playing a recording of Maria's statement because, frankly, she did not work up her courage to come here tonight herself. She's speaking in Spanish because that is the language in which she is most comfortable. I will then translate her words to English for those of you who do not speak Spanish.
Esto que está pasando es horrible para todos nosotros. Me siento en esta comunidad como que nadie me quiere, no me quiere a mi hija aquí y yo nunca quise que esto pasara. Lo único que yo realmente quiero es que mi hija esté en la escuela, que tenga una mejor educación. Esto es muy deprimente para mí, para la niña. De verdad que si esto se puede evitar para otra familia en el futuro, de todo corazón espero que nunca vuelva a pasarle a nadie, porque este sentimiento que se siente de tristeza y de inseguridad, ahora que camino, que manejo por esta ciudad, me siento insegura porque no sé si esto solamente me está pasando a mí o si ya le pasó a alguien, pero no quiero que no quisiera que a nadie más en el futuro le pasara. Muchas gracias por todo su apoyo. Muchas gracias en el nombre de Vivian también, en el nombre de todos los que me han apoyado. Muchas gracias por estar con nosotros.
My name is Maria. I am Vivian's mother. What happened to us is horrible for all of us. I feel in this community that no one wants us here, and no one wants my daughter here. I never wanted this to happen to us. All I wanted was for my daughter to go to school and to get an education. This has been very depressing for me and for my daughter. And if this can be avoided for another family in the future, I wish that this would never happen again to anyone. Because of this feeling of sadness and insecurity when I am walking around in the city or driving around in my car. I don't know if this has happened to anyone else or only to me, but I really wish that no one else would go through this in the future. Thank you to those who have shown so much support for me and for Vivian. Thank you for all the people who are here supporting us now and standing with us.
Naomi Greenstone.
Hello, my name is Naomi Greenstone. I live on Reed Boulevard in Orinda. My son just started kindergarten at Glorietta. We moved here about 2 years ago, and I love Orinda. I love everything about Orinda, except for one thing, and that's that it's just not diverse enough. And I'm able to do a lot as a parent, and as just an active member of the community, to make it a diverse place for our family. And when there are examples like what happened in this situation, it makes me feel really uncomfortable. It brings up the one thing about Orinda that I don't like, and that it's not diverse. This sort of example is not welcoming to people that might be considering living here who are diverse, and also for people who are already living here. What I want to understand from this process is what are the rules and process for situations regarding student residency, and were those followed? Because what I understand, and mind you, all I'm reading are news reports, is that it doesn't sound like the process was uniformly applied. And I want to feel good about living in Orinda. I want to love everything about I would love for it to be more diverse, and I would love to see Orinda take a position and a stand to make sure that processes that are in place are fair and that they're uniformly applied. Thank you.
Richard Atkinson.
Richard Atkinson, 38 Lenore. My name's Dick Atkinson. My wife and I are 10-year residents of Orinda. Our 3 children attended Wagner Ranch School or Intermediate School. 2 of the 5 distinguished California schools overseen by this school board. The strong educational foundation my children received here in this district has allowed them to flourish in their secondary and collegiate learning. We support the educational foundation of Orinda and its mission. I love our community, and I cherish our top-notch schools. Ours is a community of integrity. Race baiting has not become this or any community. This residency case is unfortunate. In the words of Maria, una cosa horrible. However, it's a case of exploitation, not racism. An employer offered the access to a better education for an employee's child as an employment benefit. That benefit was not the employer's to bestow, and the employee wanted only the best education for her child. And more sadly, her 7-year-old child are exploited. The employer chose to plead her case in the media, and the process denigrated our community and our schools. The press chose to, quote, maintain the anonymity of the 2nd grader by only using her first name and photographic likeness. Bob Woodward and Carl Bernstein, a generation ago, taught America the value of investigative journalism. It is contained in the adjective, investigative. Find the facts rather than be deceived by the assertions. Deep Throat taught them, quote, follow the money, end quote. I'm glad to live in a community where the schools are so highly regarded that residency must be verified to allow attendance. I'm glad this district has a protocol, similar to many other districts, that permits the hiring of investigators to discern residency. The existence of just such a protocol obviates the opportunity for discrimination and is cheaper than having a full-time, on-staff investigator. As Mr. and Mrs. Storch are the primary caregivers for this child, I wish they declared that fact at the time of this 2nd grader's enrollment, and by doing so, would have saved scarce district resources. Instead, the child was exploited. Over a century ago, Mark Twain observed, facts are stubborn. More recently, Senator Daniel Patrick Moynihan said, quote, everyone is entitled to his own opinion, but not his own facts, end quote. Thank you.
Thank you. Camille Weeks. Karis Dowd. I can't read the first letter here. Karis.
Sorry, Camille Weeks.
Camille Weeks.
Yeah, pardon me, I have my 2 kids here. I'm trying to explain the situation to you. My name is Camille Weeks, and I actually live in Lafayette. I used to live in Orinda. But I feel that I felt strongly to come here tonight because being African-American residents in an area where there aren't too many minorities, it has its challenges coming from beginning with when you're buying a home, heading up to when you go to the local stores. And while we love this area and it's been great, we also do wish it was more diverse. And I've often tried to convince other affluent minority families that I know to move here just because it is a great area. But a lot of times people, because of incidents like this, form negative impressions of communities which aren't very diverse. So it's like a vicious cycle. I'm glad to see the community stand up against what seems like a racial profiling incident and as something that's wrong and that people don't want
Garris? I apologize. Gallican.
My name is Karis Dahlkamp. I'm a resident of Canyon. I'm a youth worker in Orinda and Lafayette, working with high school students. As a father, I'm thankful this situation is being discussed publicly. I have a concern about the private investigator being hired before Maria and Miriam were contacted as to what the situation was, and how this could have been rectified quite easily without the use of a private investigator. I would also like to know whether situations in the past have required similar investigations. I respectfully disagree with you, sir. I think that given the value of diversity in the area, it's very important that we know that less than 5% of the school population is made up of those who would state themselves as minorities. It's very important that we fully support and walk alongside our Latino brothers and sisters in this instance. As a father and as a youth worker in Lafayette, this is very close to my heart. As a man who was raised by a Mexican-American stepfather, and as a man with a Mexican-American half-sister, this is very close to my heart. My family and I stand beside Vivian, Maria, and Miriam.
Bernard Warner.
My name is Bernard Larner. I live at 34 Martha Road, and I've had 4 kids go through the Orinda school system, and I'm looking forward to having my grandchildren also go through this system. So you can imagine how unhappy I was about a week ago when many people forwarded me the Huffington Post article, and then on top of that, Sunday we have the article in the Chronicle by Robert Rice, basically the same thing. Since I'm not close to the school district at this point, there's been no kind of statement from the board or the administration to refute any of these claims, basically saying Orinda is a terrible racist community that draws a drawbridge around its borders. I think it's very inaccurate, and we've seen that by many of the comments here, and I hope you guys share that feeling that this is a wrong picture to be painted of Orinda. Unfortunately, I hold the school board responsible. I don't know if it's the administration that's incompetent, but it needs to be addressed. And personally, I would like to see if there are answers to some of the questions that have been raised regarding the procedures involved in determining residency and how this thing happened. We kind of provided fodder for Mr. Rice to write this column about Orinda. What is being done to address the issues he raised? Is there any way of responding to these claims that he's made? I'm hoping they're not completely accurate. But I do think it would be worthwhile for the school board to publicize the procedures that are followed for residency verification. And maybe if we have inter-district transfers, which I remember have been in the past, if we have no room for it, that would help mollify some of the complaints about our lack of diversity. So the bottom line is, as I say, I think it's the school board's responsibility. My understanding is you have the ultimate legal authority over our system. And in order to keep all the citizens on your side, it would be appropriate to address this issue publicly, not hide behind any kind of legalese.
Thank you. And while the board cannot respond to questions and comments, that there are 2 press releases that were put out by the district. There were some copies on the back table. They were sent sent to the media and sent to the parents of students, but we did not have a way to not get ready for that.
Yes, one thing's inaccurate though. We can respond, it's not that we can't. What you said, the word can.
Maria Douglas?
Yes or no? Can you respond or not?
Can you respond?
Yes.
You can.
How soon?
Good evening. My name is Maria Douglas, and I have known Joe and Sid Jaconet for 4 years. For the 4 years I have known them, they have been very kind and helpful to my daughter and I, and other Latino families. They give countless support to Latino education, and Cindy tutor our kids and me for free. I am teaching how to speak Spanish to Cindy. At this time, I study English at BBC. Joe and Cindy Jaconet encouraged me to take advanced English. Last month, I went to St. Mary's College for an open house, and also Cindy and Joe encouraged me to do it and continue studying. Thank you.
Donna Junkie?
Yes, I moved here a year ago, grew up in Lafayette, came back after a 30-year trek around the United States. My children are both at school at University of UW-Madison, but there have been many opportunities and for us to enroll our children in many different school districts in many different states during the process of those years bringing our kids up. And I just find it very difficult to think that the procedures in the state of California, let alone Orinda School District, are so lax that things would be missed, or that there isn't a proper procedure in place where the school district would then have to resort to a process of investigation, secret investigation. I think that, quite frankly, to me, appears to actually maybe infringe upon some civil rights of the people that were being investigated. I feel that the families that are affected have been dealt with injustice. The blow, unfortunately, has reverberated through the community. I'm glad that you're having this hearing and allowing us to voice our concerns. And I thank you for that, and I'm glad I'm able to come here because I'm a stay-at-home housewife, and I can actually show up at 4:30 in the afternoon to give my thoughts. So I hope I stand here for others who are working, unfortunately probably can't make it to this meeting tonight. Mrs. Storch, I commend you for your generosity, for all that you have done for Maria. It's an incredibly valuable job to have someone who cares for your house and your children and your family, and that you're able to give back and provide them with housing and the opportunity for Maria to also raise her daughter at the same time. The fact that this girl would be taken away and have to go live with a grandmother, and Maria would have to choose between a job or being with her daughter, to me just is not appropriate. And in a nutshell, diversity is good, and I think we need to rethink these processes. I understand everybody wants to try to get their kids into the school, but in this particular situation, and understanding and having to put my children through the registration process, I find that it's hard to believe that something was missed in this case. Thank you.
Rick Webster. I think I'm missing a letter there.
Close. I'm Rick Webster. I don't have a prepared speech on horrible, like for the background. But I just got one huge question. We don't like it when people break our rules. People come across the border without being legal, without assimilating, without learning the language. This is a girl that did everything right. Sorry, I'm not used to this. I just don't understand how this can happen. She did everything right. She lives here. She speaks English. She's assimilating. Everything that we say we know. This is wrong. And I'm glad we did. Reviewed your decision, changed it. But I wonder how that can happen.
Thank you. Listen to Cindy Jacknet.
Joe. I'm Lucinda Cindy Jacknet. Joe did not ask me in any way to speak here. Joe Jacknet is my husband. I've known Joe for many years, and I'd just like to share about him. Together, we worked at UCLA Tutorial Project, and we tutored impoverished kids in inner city and impoverished areas. Joe turned down a business job to be a public servant and to serve education, to be a teacher. Joe has a sense of fairness for everyone. Over the years, I've known him at home, and I've known him at work. He acts justly, he does the right thing for the right reasons. He's caring, and he follows the law. He comes from a large Italian family and appreciates community. Joe's mother did not graduate from the 8th grade. He helped her pass the GED, and he's helped numerous students reach their highest success. When he was a principal, I watched him leave our house very early in the morning to drive to the migrant farm worker camps to ensure that the children were not in fields during the day, but were in their classes during the day. Some of you are thinking, I'm just up here and saying this because he's my husband. And I'm saying the truth. I'm here because he's an ethical and fair man. He leads an ethical and fair district, and they all deserve the truth. In today's day and age, it's easy to think of ourselves as being divided, when in fact, we're on the same side. All of us want the best education for all students.
Thank you. Rebecca Ware.
Rebecca Verdi. I live at 210 Stanton Terrace. I'm a former planning commissioner in the city of Orinda. My mother lives in the city of Orinda. My husband and I send our children to the elementary schools here. And I also don't plan remarks. I just want to say that it's a little humiliating when you're on vacation in South Carolina and you start getting texts from your friends in Seattle and San Diego about your school district being racist. Racial profiling does not have any moral part in our schools. It does not have any legal part in our public schools. And putting out a statement saying that didn't happen isn't good enough to assure the public, not just Orinda, but our much, much wider community, that racial profiling didn't play a part in this case, because my goodness, it looks like it did. And that is absolutely unacceptable. So what I would like to see, and what I'm asking the school board to provide, is an independent investigation so that we can be assured as a wider community that racial profiling did not play a place, and that if it did, those responsible are held accountable. Thank you.
Good evening. Pat Bush, as many of you know. For those who don't, I served on the Orinda School Board for 12 years. So as you might imagine, the topic of the conversation in Pete's, my own office, was what do you think of this situation? First, as we say, it's a lot easier to be on this side than on that side. So I want to thank you all for your service. But what I want to share, the reason I came here tonight, is to share what I have shared with people in private conversations. And that is, first of all, there are a number of things that can trigger an investigation onto residency. I don't know what they were any more than the people in this audience know what they were. I also know that the school board in Orinda has spent many hours crafting an interdistrict transfer policy that was fair, that followed the law, that followed the ed code of the state of California, and that was blind to anything to do with race, income, or test scores. I can also tell you that some of the hardest decisions I made as a school board member was to have to deny an interdistrict transfer to a student because there wasn't room. So, as I said, I don't know any of the specifics behind this. We all want to know what's been put into the press. I applaud the district for maintaining the confidentiality of the student, despite the fact that many in the news media have sought to put her picture all over the paper and the internet. Curious decision, to say the least. But I do want to say to the audience here that I served with 4 of the 5 members on the board. I had the distinct privilege of working with Dr. Jackinet for 6 years, maybe 7, I don't remember. It was a long time. And you will not find more ethical people than the people who are serving the Orinda School District today. Appearances are deceiving. It's easy to make a cheap, quick judgment. Whatever happened, I can guarantee you that the law was followed, that ethics were followed, and that nobody here, nobody sitting on that table, had any interest whatsoever in racial profiling. So thank you.
Thank you. Charles Woolman.
Good afternoon. Charles Walmer, 2 Valles, East Lane, Orinda. 23-year resident of Orinda, and I have 2 kids that are at OIS Middle School. I wasn't planning on speaking, but as I've heard people come to the podium, I just wanted to reiterate my feeling on this. Also being kind of surprised by the national media that's come out in the last 10 days. Supporting what someone else said, I love everything about this town. One of the challenges I have with myself, with my family, with my kids, is the lack of diversity. And we're constantly challenged to get them out of Orinda to see what the rest of the world lives like, and how we need to better ourselves in relation to the rest of the world. And I do believe that diversity is important for this community. My only challenge for this board is that this will become more of an issue in the future. I think you all have a challenge to set the record straight and to set protocols for the future, because this will become more of an issue as the minorities become majorities in the state. And I do want to be proud of everything about Orinda. And I would like to, with the new board members coming on, I'd like to see the transparency begin. Thank you.
We have no more speaker cards, so we will.
Hi, my name is Lisa. 44 Las Palomas in Orinda. Sadly,
Sadly, I'm here again today to talk about the district's conduct. Ultimately, yes, the board members are responsible. You're accountable. We voted you in, and we will get you to be the leaders of the district. Sadly enough, in this incident, from what I understand, you guys knew nothing about the incident until it came out from the paper, and that's appalling to me. That means somebody acted alone. So you've given the power to your superintendent to make unilateral decisions that have legal repercussions. Families are destroyed, and it's just a shame that there was no conversation about this before Joe took the action to hire a private investigator, who, by the way, didn't even investigate the Orinda residence. They went to Martinez residence under the name of somebody that wasn't even the right person. So he had false identity. He identified himself as somebody who wasn't really, I don't even know if that's legal. So they invaded this woman's privacy, and then at the end of the day, you decided to be a yes state, which is it's a great thing, but the way it unfolded looks horrible to the outside world. So I want to share with you guys each, I have a copy of the Change.org petition. It has 300 signatures, more than 300 signatures. It has 9 pages of comments from people all over the country. Most of them are Orinda, and that's significant, but it's also significant that it's from all over the country. So may I share with you guys each a copy? Do you want to hand it out to the board? Do you want me to hand it out? Just you guys each have a copy.
Thank you.
Oh, wait, I need a copy.
Deacon Barry?
Wait, I have one last thing. I just want to say, perception is reality. Unfortunately, the media has presented information that may or may not be true. You guys are going to go into closed session, and you'll know the facts more than we will. But I think it is incumbent upon you guys to let the world know what we're really about. Thank you.
I am actually a 6-month resident we're actually from Texas. I grew up 45 minutes from the Mexican border with 2 parents as bilingual teachers. You know, one of the things we all want for our children is a better education. If it wasn't for my parents, I probably wouldn't have gotten a master's. So I encourage you to look at it from a child, and that this mother's trying to do her best and just giving up a lot to be in a place to encourage an education, a better education, to have a better life. So this little girl's actually befriended my daughter, and this was one of the harder districts for my daughter to be accepted into. We had a hard first month, but Kat had equipped her with some good tactics to help her through the first month. She's changed 3 different schools. So with this being the least diverse school. So with that said, I think that it's still important that students and children are learned to accept the real world as part of adapting into it. But at the same time, it is also the responsibility of adults to help them through that real world. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Chris, I would like to just thank the community for all the comments and also say that I would like staff to put our district residency policy on a future agenda item. I would like people to know that. So thank you everyone for your comments.
If you have no further speaker cards, we will adjourn closed session.